So we're going to talk about lesson 5 today. Lesson 5 has 3 parts. The first part of the lesson is escaping nihilism, escaping the absurd, which is, acknowledging nihilism and transitioning past it. The second part of it is the courage to be, where we talk about becoming and being and how we relate to that. And our final, before we get to that, there's a theology that's realized at 5.2. There's a theology, and the theology is based on the idea of your philosophy in action. Okay? Does it have sacred symbolism? Does it have an ultimate goal that you can see? Does it transform people that go through it? And does it have a teaching, cohesive teaching? Those are the ideas that go into what is a theology. A lot of people like to follow other people in their theology. That's fine, but they don't understand, They don't understand that you can formulate your own theology, and that's what we encourage you to do at 5.2. 5.3 is the courage to create. This is where Nietzsche's will to power, Paul Tillich's theology of the courage to be, and existentialism particularly, join with Rollo May's courage to create. Science took out creation. They think that there is no creator or whatever. We're co-creators. We're responsible for creating our own life. So those are the basis. In lesson 5, part 1, we deal with Camus. Camus is a very important philosopher to us because he illuminates us to the absurd, how people deal with the absurd. Once you realize there is nobody in charge, nothing is, forbidden, all is permitted, okay? Once you realize that, however, there are certain things that occur. People either accept it and they move on, creating their own reality, or they allow the absurd to encompass them. In what ways? Okay, well, for instance, suicide. You need to find a life worth living. Well, there's actual suicide. People can't deal with this life the way it is, and they take themselves out. There is philosophical suicide, which is to believe, to go back to nihilism. You don't have to deal with this. This is pseudo philosophy when we talk about the absurd reality. There is no absurd reality. That kind of thing. Then you can try to deny it. You can try to deny it through religion. Okay? A lot of people try to deny the absurd. It's due. Next, you have people that are actors. They're not living their life. They're actors. Okay? They're lost in their life. The conditions that are imposed upon them. Okay? Then you have politics. People argue about politics all the time. They do that because they don't want to deal with the absurd. They want to forget about what the absurd is all about. So they get lost in politics and blaming, and, you know, this is not the way to a higher elevated level. Okay? Then you have simply accepting it. You can accept the absurd existence. It is what it is, and that's that. You accept it, and you now reject it. You reject it. You reject some of the irrational things that people tell you you should or should not do. And you begin to live your life worth living according to your own choices and the standards that you set. So, yeah, the way to deal with the absurd existence is accepting it. That's what Camus states we should do. Okay? But we have to realize that. We realize that through his analogy with Sisyphus. Sisyphus was, condemned to push a stone up and down this hill eternally. He gets the stone so far up, it comes back down. That's the nature of Sisyphus. Now, think of Sisyphus as descending and ascending. In order to ascend, you have to descend first. You have to accept both marriages, above and below, okay, before you can deal with, before you can deal with the absurd. You have to be able to realize and value your life. Art joins with science, theory joins with practice, and we realize the synthesis is the philosophy that comes out of this. It's truly amazing. So let's move farther now. We've accepted the absurd reality. Now what? Well, Paul Tillich's Courage to Be comes into play here, and it connects with Nietzsche's philosophy, his philosophical realization, and the will to power. We have to realize the nature of our being. So on this level, we, you study Heidegger, and you realize what is being. Well, Tillich nails it, and the video that incorporates Tillich and Nietzsche give us this reality that there can be more gods, that we're talking about mega universes, not just one universe. You're talking mega planets, not just the planets that we can see. Okay? So, the courage to be. What does that mean? Well, most people are driven by fear. They're programmed that way. We brought this up in lesson 2. What is enlightenment? They're programmed to be afraid of things. People who are afraid of things are easier to control because they're not dealing with their higher mental functioning. They're only dealing with fight or flight functioning. Okay? So people that are in this fearful state, they're not thinking very clearly, and they make mistakes. But what if we look at courage? What if we say, I'm not going to base my decisions on fear. I'm going to base my decisions on courage. How would that change things? Courage is now what drives me, not fear. Well, I've changed my instinct. That's what's going on there. suddenly I have the courage to be myself, to become who I really am. And finally, in part 3, well, part 2, you're going to write about your realization to the point where you're going to see your theology, your philosophy, which has now been challenged by insights about existence and has taken a battering. You're going to revisit it. What is it that you're living according to? What is the philosophy that you are now living according to? Once you do that, like I said, apply those 4 things from Theodore Ludwig in his definition of what a religion is. When you do this, you have a religion. You have your religion. And it's a beautiful thing, you know. The third part is creation, creativity. You know, you create your own reality through the choices that you make. That's what you do. You create that reality. Acknowledge that. Look at how you can create. You know, when I was writing about this, I started writing songs. I mean, I wouldn't stop. I wrote like a whole notebook full of songs. This is the kind of creative flow that we're talking about. Just let it all out. Let it all out. And when you do that, when you empty yourself, you're ready for the next stage. You're ready for the next step. We've gone through step 5, and now we're going to be going into step 6, you know. And if you're still with me, you're cool, all right? And we got some amazing stuff coming for you, okay? Coming to you. Keep at it. Persevere. It's not easy to escape the absurd. Once you've realized nihilism, it's difficult. Give yourself a break, okay? But stay on it. Think about what it is that you're doing. What's your religion? Okay? Express that. And have the courage to create. Look into it. Do your research. Get your hands messy. It's okay. It's a part of the process. It really is. So link what you do to the synchronicity of the process, and wow, it's going to blow your mind. It's going to blow your mind. But that's all I have for now. That's all of lesson 5. Okay? And I'll see you in lesson 6. 666. Blessed be.